International tobacco companies' worst fears have been realised, with the British government announcing that it's considering introducing plain packaging for cigarettes. The Cameron government has flagged its intention to introduce plain packaging from 2012. The move echoes similar groundbreaking steps announced for Australia earlier this year. Europe correspondent Philip Williams reports.
In Britain, the idea is still just that, but the fact the government is looking at following Australia's lead on packaging has cigarette companies crying foul.
We sell a legal product and we have a brand that is, we have intellectual property rights too. And there is a precedent there, and regardless of what the product is, this is in breach of international trade obligations, of intellectual property obligations, and there's a real dangerous precedent to be set here.
But the bottom line is, isn't it, let's get down to it, it's protecting profits. You're a company, you're there to make profits, and you obviously have calculated that you'll earn less with plain packaging.
Look, we will take every step necessary to protect our valuable brands, our intellectual property, and to ensure that we can continue to sell a legal product in a legitimate market.
According to British American Tobacco, plain packaging for cigarettes is just the beginning.
It's the thin end of the wedge. If they're prepared to do this to cigarettes today, are they prepared to do it to food or beer tomorrow?
There's nothing like smoking in terms of the health damages that it causes. It kills half of its long-term users. In the UK, over 100,000 people die from smoking every year. You couldn't say the same thing about any other type of product.
Robin Hewings from the Tobacco Control Team at UK Cancer Research has been advising the government on the best way to reduce smoking, especially the take-up amongst young people. He's convinced removing brands will decrease the appeal.
Well, I know from my own experience that we always like to think that we make completely independent decisions, but I know from my experience when I smoked as a teenager that the branding on cigarette packages was part of what made it attractive. And we also know from studies that we've done with smokers who have been given plain packs for a number of weeks that it has changed how they think about smoking and the ways in which they smoke as well.
While cigarette companies argue there is no evidence to support plain packaging, they also say it will increase the risk of counterfeit products, which they argue already account for 20% of sales.
Illegal tobacco is a growing problem for the UK government and governments around the world. And if you make the product commoditised, make it plain, make it cheaper, then it's going to be a windfall for counterfeiters, for smugglers and for criminal syndicates.
But when counterfeiters, smugglers, they're doing pretty good business now using your brands. Really, is that a significant change?
Well, if you make the pack a plain pack, then it will be easier to counterfeit.
The tobacco industry claims that most things will increase smuggling, but what you can really tell from how strongly the tobacco industry have reacted to that is that they probably think that this is going to be very effective in reducing their markets, and that's why they're so opposed.
The real test rests with smokers. In our tiny and unscientific survey, it seems plain or branded, it's the drag, not the dressing, that counts.
It wouldn't affect it in any way, I don't feel. People are going to smoke, they're addicted to it, they'll smoke. So, I don't know, brands are different, I understand that, but I can't see any difference.
It might stop younger people smoking, but it's all going to be about peer pressure, so might do a little bit to help it, but I don't think it'll go away completely.
If anybody wants to smoke, they are going to smoke anyway. So it's not the reason why you smoke, why you don't.
While the plain realities may be debated, it's clear Australia's lead is being watched very carefully by both sides.
We know that the British government says in a parliamentary answer only this week that they're looking very closely at the Australian experience, and we think it's going to have a tremendous effect on the UK government and others around the world.
Tobacco companies fear the political precedents even one country could establish, and Britain could be next. Philip Williams, Lateline.